Today we're going to talk about strangers. So who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet, the people that you pass each day. I've been doing some research about the different kinds of strangers that we encounter in fearless dialogues. And I would love for you to think about the strangers that you encounter in your various sites. First of all, there's the public stranger. The kind of people that we pass and at the grocery store, on our daily walks, in sidewalk cafes. The campers who come in and out of the space that you don't know. But in the midst of public strangers, we learn to negotiate difference. Although we don't know them, we embrace the fact that we occupy shared space. But all strangers aren't public. Some are much more familiar. There was a study done in New York City by a guy by the name of Stanley Milgram. And Milgram actually did his research on urban settings. And he examined the individuals who are on subway platforms, who each day on their daily commute make an unspoken pact to not speak to the person next to them. But they recognize they are there. They're familiar strangers. And what Milgram did in his study was he took a picture and he numbered all of the people on the platform, and then he asked them, do you recognize person number 1? Do you recognize person number 2? Do you recognize person number 3? And they quickly came to the realization that though they had never spoken, there was this bond between them, such that if person number 1 was present but person number 5 was absent, they wondered, where is person number 5 this morning? His research also found that this linkage between familiar strangers, person 1 would often also wonder, once person number 5 exited the train, I wonder what job they're going to, or what does their home or living room look like? We occupy space with familiar strangers, and at points in our lives, in crisis, these familiar strangers call us into community. There was a woman that Milgram studied who saw another woman pass out on the street. They were neighbors. They passed each other daily. They were familiar strangers. And this woman who saw her neighbor on the street yet had never spoken to her called an ambulance. And not only did she call the ambulance, she rode in the ambulance with the woman who had fallen out. And she sat in the hospital with her. And Milgram inquired, why would you go this far for a stranger? And she said, well, I did not know her, but I knew her. I had observed her. We occupied a common space. We were familiar enough that when the crisis hit, there was a bond. The third type of stranger is the intimate stranger. These are people who enter into our lives in crisis moments and immediately form a bond. Not long ago, my father was in the hospital, and there was a cold blue, and it was crazy outside of our room. And then this woman came in her blue uniform, and she simply said, Mr. Ellison, how you doing today? And though we did not know this woman, we immediately felt at home in her presence. She was an intimate stranger. Finally, there are far too many strangers within. At this point in your journey, are you familiar with those voices that are calling deep from inside, beckoning you to hear their voice? but they're strange because you repress them and you push them out. Who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet, the people that you pass each day.